Hi, everyone. I'm Carrie Cassidy from Project Camelot and very happy to be here today. So we're going to have a fascinating update on Nano Soma with Dr. Raghu and Dr. Richard Presser. So welcome, guys. It's lovely to have you back on the show. And I'm anxious, as I think my audience will be as well, to hear everything that's been going on. I know it's been many months since we last talked. And I have had your ad on my site. I've been using your product myself and enjoying both products, and we can talk more about that. So I guess the best thing to do is to start off with a short introduction from both of you, all right? And let's start off with Dr. Raghu.
What do you want us to talk about?
Well,
so let me start if I may.
Then I'll follow up with him. Let Richard start.
All right, Richard. Richard, go ahead.
No problem. Firstly, Kerry, I would like to thank you for all that you've done to help share Nano Soma with the world. Quite a large part of your community have engaged with the product as a result of the last interview, and I'm very grateful for that on many levels because of what this product does for people. And yes, a lot has changed since we last spoke on many levels. We have struggled to keep the spray in the US store. We had a hiatus in Europe. We are just getting supplies back in Australia. So all our supply issues in terms of the open stores are within about 10 days will be completely resolved. We have lots of stock in the US now. So it is a great relief to finally have those hurdles overcome. Our business really exploded in May and June, and we've been struggling ever since to catch up. But we are back, and really it's been a driving force for us to put a much stronger structure for the future inside this business. So again, thank you for your contribution. And I know Raghu's been off doing some interesting experiments. This whole subject of the impact of the jabs has exploded in the time since we last spoke, and the fact that Nano Soma clears everything from the body that doesn't naturally belong bears on that subject very powerfully. So Raghu, I will pass across to you, my friend.
Yeah, one of the things we have done is we just completed a study in India for about 30 people to show that in 1 week we can improve the immunity of the body just in 1 week. We look for a particular protein called immunoglobulin. So that we will was approved by the government of India. So it's going to be registered. It's an official trial, so people in the world can see it for what it is. So we hope in 2 weeks it'll be on the website. So, but it's very positive. It shows how it boosts immunity, which is the way this product works. Another thing that we have done is to show that just by treating the cells of our body, like in this case, we use some monocytes, we are able to show that it highlights in our body about 22,800 genes. So it targets all the genes in the body out of 24,000. So that's something that we are now redoing it. So with other kinds of cells to show it works. And we've also done some work to show that it produces the genes that are needed to fix many of the brain functions, like epilepsy, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, which we can do at 1 picogram. It's a very small amount. So this we need to test in human beings. And we did have one case during the time, which were not talked about, where a person who was on drugs for 15 years was able to recover in 3 to 4 days, became normal. So it's pretty powerful.
Absolutely. Well, what I want to do is draw people's attention, because there may be a lot of new viewers to this, to sort of this unusual way that you discovered it again, to go maybe in a very short version, to sum up how you discovered this idea behind Nano Soma. Could you do that? Either one of you, really, if you like, or both.
It's Raghu's story. I'll let him tell it.
Yeah. So basically, when I left pharma, I knew that the pharma wasn't working. But in 1996 or 7, there was a lecture at New York, where the speaker ended the lecture by saying that in his lifetime, there would be a nutraceutical which would replace all drugs, and everybody laughed. But that became my business plan. It stuck in my head. But how do you begin? The way you begin is to look at your own family. And in my family, I noticed one trend, which was in my father's side of the family, that all the males lived a long life and never suffered from any disease, But on my aunt's side, all of them suffered all the diseases of mankind. You could, in fact, do your medical school by not leaving your house. So they had all the diseases of mankind in one small family. So when in 2003, I believe, when I met my uncle, I asked him, how is this possible if grandfather and grandmother both lived to be 97 without a single disease? Only you got the genes, but they didn't. It's not possible, statistically. Then he explained that, took me to the kitchen and showed me what he ate. He ate raw rice, raw sugar, and, coconut oil, fresh coconut oil. He never had a juice. It's a salt, he used rock salt. That same evening, I met a friend of mine who works in a sugar factory who told me, hey, in my factory, the executives get all the metabolic syndrome, that is, blood sugar, hypertension, and so on. But the workers don't get it. I said, why? He says the executive guys are cheap. They use refined sugar, but they give raw sugar to the workers. That's when I was able to make that connection. I knew there was something in the sugar. So when I talked to my uncle, he said, by the way, there is this temple in South India, 5,600 years ago, they worship sugarcane. And therefore, from being an organic, immediately I knew what it was. The question was to make it water soluble, which we did, and get a patent, which we did. And the rest is history. Just as the temple predicted that it would cure, the temple believes that the raw sugar cane, which we call jaggery, cures 4,448 diseases. And that's the trend this is going to be. So, it was written 5,600 years ago. How they knew it, I don't know, but we are able to prove whatever they believed in.
Okay, but there's also something to do with the water from snowfall in the mountains that is something
So when I had the script that is in Sanskrit, it said pristine water. So when I spoke to a Sanskrit scholar, he said, when you say water in Sanskrit, he said there are 280 words that describe water. It's the only language in the world. Most languages have one word to describe water, which is water, English, for example. But in Sanskrit, there are 280 words, and it's defined in that context where that word appears. So he read it and said that this is from the melting snows of the Himalayas where Shiva was born. The temple was actually dedicated to Lord Shiva. And therefore, he says, this is from Mount Kailash, Manasarovar. But Mount Kailash is actually in China today, Manasarovar Lake. So the lake that formed from the melting snow. And that's when I got the idea, if we can't make it in China, because they won't let us do it anyway, because India and China are not exactly close friends. And so I said, next one is Switzerland, melting snow of the Alps. And that's how we got to Switzerland. And we have tried with water from countries like India, China, Australia, a few other, Germany. No, it's not the same. The particle that we make is very, very different. It doesn't have the exact same properties. So water is very critical in this business. In the US, we can't make very cleanly yet, but I'm sure we can. Probably we go to Vermont or the Rockies. I'm sure there is a place there. But in America, in the water supply, we add a lot of fluoride, and fluoride deactivates the vitamin D receptors, very important. The thyroid receptor. That's why a lot of people in America have a lot of thyroid diseases. They're adding fluoride, which the body doesn't need.
Sure.
Harry, what might be useful to do, because as you said, there's probably people here that haven't understood this at all. So I didn't at the beginning really position what this product is doing. And so let me just take a moment or so to do that.
Okay.
Simply put, this product, the key ingredient is a nano emulsion of what's called polycosanol, which is very commonly in our unrefined foods. And when you take this little nanoparticle and put it in the body, it triggers the body to heal and clear everything that does not belong. It's truly profound in that nature. And let's be clear, Nanosoma does not heal, treat, or cure anything. It's not a medicine. It's not a drug. It's not doing any of that. What it's doing is triggering the body to take care of itself in ways we never imagined was possible. And so Raghu has demonstrated that within 99%, it's triggering a replica of the human genome. He's working on the last 1%. I have little doubt about what he'll find. It also plugs into all of the nuclear receptors in our cells. So we have 48 or 9 nuclear receptors in our cells. And perhaps the most well-known of them is the vitamin D receptor. And vitamin D will turn the vitamin D receptor on, as we know. But if the vitamin D receptor is overactive, which can happen in various conditions, vitamin D could do nothing. Whereas Nanosoma will both turn on the vitamin D receptor and turn it down or off if need be. So it regulates the vitamin D receptor. This is unheard of. But it's not just doing it for the vitamin D receptor, it's doing it, from Raghu's analysis, for all of our nuclear receptors. There are tests available for 27 of them. For 22, the results are clear. It's regulating. The other 5, the results are a bit equivocal. But Raghu is satisfied from his gene analysis that it's regulating all of them. So this little particle is like the missing key, if you will, to the functioning of our bodies that we didn't know was missing until it showed up. And when you look a little more deeply, there is strong evidence to suggest that this little particle actually brought the blueprint of biological life to this planet. And so and hence we can begin to understand why it has that profound relationship with our biology, because in a sense it triggered the creation of the biology on this planet. And so it was in our unrefined food in a small percentage, because a small percentage of the polycosanol in our unrefined food is this nano form. So it's perfectly natural and known to our bodies. And then when our food got refined, it disappeared. And what I find very interesting is that it's now re-emerging in our world just at this time when these jabs have become widespread. And if you understand what these are doing, the prognosis is not very good. I'm sure you're familiar with the Georgia Guidestones, Kerry, and the first so-called command on those is a population of 500 million people living in balance with nature. What do we have? Currently 8 billion. Our dark friends are on some level bound to telegraph their plans. And in my opinion, we are living through that very plan with these jabs. And so this little piece of natural magic clears everything that doesn't belong in the body, all pathological viruses, fungi, yeasts, bacteria, heavy metals, herbicides, pesticides, anything which is interfering with the DNA, all gone. And so this is a plan older than life itself on this planet that we are living through. And so its interaction with our biology is truly profound. It's quite hard to grasp it. And as you know, Raghu's been using this for about 11 years. He's now 70 and has a measured biological age of 48. Lucky bastard he is. And 2 years ago, it was 51. So this is the journey we can all go on. We can It's there may be other ways emerge that help us reverse the aging process, but this one is sitting there and works day by day by day. So that's enough of a kind of overview. But if people haven't understood it before now, I think it's helpful just to cover that ground.
Absolutely. Okay, well, that's, on both your sides, a very good explanation. And I think that should get people going to want to research this more and possibly even try the product. They can also get it on the front page of Camelot. There are 3 different ads because it goes by location in the world. So there's one for the United States, there's one for Europe, and there's one for Australia and Great Britain, as I understand it. Is that correct?
Yes, at the moment it is separated like that. The UK store is not yet open. And so people in the UK are currently buying from Europe. It's taken forever to get it in a bottle in the UK. I've been tearing my hair out, but it will get resolved. Probably open the UK store beginning of December, I'm guessing. But it's also worth mentioning that whole affiliate system will simplify very shortly. So you won't need 4 different places to go to. You'll just have the one. People can go there and they can go to whichever store is relevant to them. So it'll simplify things greatly. Thank goodness.
Okay, so I'm going to try to bring this on the screen here for people. So this is the obviously this is the U.S. version of the ad, and for people to see that that's actually the very show we're doing right now. But if you go to the front page and scroll down, you'll see that we've got basically 3 ads. And they're all in a row here. So US, Europe, and Australia. So I think that I am wondering, if you can also talk about the cream that you've come up with and that's going to be coming available to people, because I think people would love to use it. And I've been able to be an advanced user. I don't know, whatever you want to call that. And I find it to be really lovely. It's very soft and light, and I think it has very good result. So do either one of you want to talk about the cream?
The cream has the same ingredient as the spray in terms of active ingredient, but we have added other things to make it creamy. So the base, unlike most creams in the world, this is 87% water. This is the only water-based cream. There is no oil there, and everything else we have is natural. So it's 99.75% all natural. So it classifies as an all-natural renewable resource product, and it's in a nano form. And when we make this, first we make the spray, then we make the gel, and from the gel we make the cream. That's why it's an expensive process. In fact, the last step from the gel to the cream, we don't make it in our facility in Switzerland because that is classified only for food-based ingredients. And we are adding one product there, which is not food. It happens to be organic vanilla essence. And we get this from a company in Switzerland, which gets it from the orchids vanilla orchids in Madagascar. So the smell you see is a pure organic vanilla. And we can't add any kind of perfume we want because that disrupts the nanoparticle. It's a nano cream, the world's first nano cream, I would say. But the beauty is it's in water. So your clothes will never get spoiled. Unlike others, they put a lot of cream.
It's very lovely to touch. It just happens to be very light and fluffy or something. I can't even describe it.
Very
really
smooth to the touch. My wife said before she used the spray, she used the cream. It was way back when, and it transformed her. And everybody said, which plastic surgeon you went to? So this is the kind of questions you will get.
Now, can you also talk about the gel? What does the gel do? Because I actually haven't tried the gel.
Yeah, the gel is basically the same thing as a spray, but we've added xanthan gum. So it's also like about 95% water. So it's edible. So what happens is, when you have a cut or you have, let's say, some breakout in the skin, you can just apply, or very quickly. And let's say you pull a muscle while working out, you can just apply there immediately. You get relief. It's the same as the spray. It's also edible. So let's say you have a toothache, you can just put it in the tooth. And some people don't want to spray in the eyes. They can close their eyes and then put it around the eyelids. This way it will get slowly absorbed. So it's very powerful. It's the same concentration as the spray, except it's also edible. So you can give it to kids who are toothache. You just take a little bit and put it in the tooth area. And I had my tooth pulled out, and my doctor said, "Oh, you got to use antibiotic." I said, "Forget it." I just applied the gel there. Next morning, I went to show her. It was totally healed. You wouldn't even know that she had removed the tooth there. It's that quick. Healing process. It's very powerful.
So for positioning overall, Kerry, the spray is for oral use, and really the basic use of these products is 5 sprays in the mouth once a day. There are circumstances where that can be increased either when you're getting started or dealing with particular health conditions, which we talk about. But in essence, it's 5 sprays once a day, which means a 30 ml bottle will last about 30 days. And so that is for oral use primarily. You can also quite safely put it in your eyes or your ears or whatever. It's not an issue. But when it comes to topical issues, skin healing issues, whatever that be, whether it be psoriasis or eczema or, whatever the health, the skin issue is, the gel is the far better option. And as Raghu said, if you're dealing with a pulled muscle or pain somewhere in the body, the gel is a much better option. It's just a lot easier to deal with for application purposes than dealing with water. Water tends to run off. So it's just a much better option for topical use, and the cream, as you've experienced, primarily is a facial cream, and it's a beautiful cream. I've only come across 2 women so far who did not like the cream, and they were both in the cosmetics industry. So that kind of tells you a lot right there.
Well, I've used regular cosmetics, of course, and high-end cosmetics. And I've actually not had to use much in that area, but in my life. But this is a beautiful and very amazing, I think. I think it does have healing properties. What I want to do here is also bring you back to the website, because I actually have on the front page, it just happened to be a sort of a synchronicity. I've done a couple of interviews with you guys, but we had an update that we did, which is available on the front page right now, that actually has some testimonials associated with it, so that if people want to quickly go over there. And then I think on your website, you would probably have what they call testimonials as well.
Yes, we do. The major information website is the nanosoma.com, THE nanosoma.com. That's the main global website. And when we set up the new affiliate system, that's one of the options that they will be taken to. People will be taken to a page which takes you to all of the stores and the information pages. So they're all there, and people can wander around and not lose the link. So they can come back to whichever store they want to go to. They stay inside that connection, if you will. So that's the major information website, where there's testimonials. There's some of the video recordings and links and so on that we've done, including our original interview with you is on that site. Right. And so there's a lot of information there. Again, just to talk about availability, which I didn't talk about, the spray is available on all of the stores. The gel is currently only the US. We will be introducing it in Germany on the European store in maybe 30 days or so, could be 60. These things always take longer than I ever think. And we're about to get a bottle a lot more in the US, and I will ship some of that to the Australian store. So we will have the gel on all 3 stores maybe in a month or 2. And the cream I will be launching in the US in maybe 30 to 45 days is my best guess. So certainly before the end of the year, the cream will be available. And again, I will spread it out across the other stores from there. So, I start with a small shipment and we get it started in the US and then figure out what we need to make sure everything works properly. And then we can spread it out from there.
Very good. So let's see. I just want to make sure that people understand that this is sort of aimed at repairing the DNA, would you say? Because there is a lot to do with the jabs, as you know, and what are called the spike proteins, et cetera. So all of these things are really primary at this time, and especially for people that are vaxxed. So these will be things of concern to them, growing concern, you could even say. So can you talk a little bit about that side of things?
Yeah, see, what it does is when it enters the body, it does, let's say, it takes a photo of the body's biological processes, whatever is going right and whatever is not going right. It instructs the cell to correct those things. And this is the key. And the instructions go to the nuclear receptors. We know it binds to all of them. That's the software of our body. It corrects the software of the body. So in the end, you end up with the right biological process. For example, if your body is getting signals to produce too much insulin, you become insulin resistant and possibly type 2 diabetic. When this goes in, it instructs the body to shut down that process so that the insulin gets normalized. And so the diabetes, the name of the disease called diabetes, is gone. It does it with every other processes in the body. There are literally, as far as I know, about 11,000 processes it works on. So when you take a spray of Nano, the genes in your body, there are 250,000 gene-to-gene interactions that are happening. It's amazing. Every gene is talking to every other gene. Now we have mapped it and I've shown it a couple of times to people, but it's like the birth of the sun. Everything is linked. So every gene is talking to every gene. Hey, the teacher is here. He's instructing us. Listen, let's get back to work. And he's recertifying us. So they begin to work. And so it resets your body back. This is the key thing. Once you reset, things then begin to work the way it should be working. So the reason why it happens is all the chemicals we have in our body, whether it through vaccine or other foods we eat, they block all the cellular signaling process that go on. That is, cells talk to each other, but they're blocked by these chemicals. So Nano first clears them out. So then the cells begin to talk. Then they talk to the nuclear receptor. Hey, we're short of this, we're short of that, we're short of this. It's like a citizen able to talk to the president, but there are the layers of people who are blocking it. So, it gives access to that. And that's how it works. So it will correct pretty much whatever needs to be corrected. The only thing we cannot predict is time. But if it is very serious situation, it will quickly correct it. For example, if somebody is a sugar level of 250, it'll quickly, a day or two, it'll bring it to 150, which is not bad. The body can handle it. Then it'll go and correct the underlying cause. That's how it'll do it. So it'll do that with the same DNA. It repairs the DNA. So the DNA is wrong, it'll be repaired. We have some proof for that in terms of in our gene studies. We have not published it, but I'm just writing the program. So.
Okay. I'm just putting up this statement that you made to me several interviews ago, and I'm just wondering, you said there was some special number of diseases that it was supposed to be able to cure, or whatever you want to call. It actually doesn't cure it, it stimulates the healing coming from you, right? Your body.
Yes. Correct.
And so just to make that clear here, and we do have a medical disclaimer.
this is what is written in the temple. This is the temple mythology says it will cure all these 4,448 diseases. With the gene expression studies, we get a little higher number, but that's because there are a lot of named diseases. So,
okay, but this is a story that, again, I did want to keep this a limited time interview just for the purposes of an update. But if you could tell very briefly how that connection happened with you finding out about the connection between nanosoma and that number of diseases. Some kind of
this temple. People go with, as I said, the raw sugarcane, which you call jaggery, which you can buy in Amazon anyway.
Yes.
And then they worship it, put a little salt, and they worship it, and you drop it in the temple pond. The pond looks ugly, the water, it looks greenish, but no bacteria grows there. So that's where I got a connection from. I said, hey, there's something here that's preventing the bacteria. And the analogy to that is the pharaohs in Egypt, when they buried their people, a lot of them were buried with honey, bottle of honey. When the burial grounds were excavated, when they tested the honey, it was still pristine after 2,500 years. And honey has polycosanol. I mean, that's why the bears, in winter, they hog on the honey before they go into the deep slumber. And it brings about what we call as calorie restriction. So they're able to survive the winter. So the bears have been doing it for thousands of years. Same way, when we take this product over time, it brings about calorie restriction. For example, I take 1/3 of the food I ate 10 years ago today. Mm-hmm. So what is this potential of this is people are worried about 8 million people. I know that we can extend it to 20 million people in terms of food availability. I don't know about others, but food availability, yes. So we don't have to worry about 8 billion people. If you can restrict the amount of food you eat, yet have the same full functions, you can support twice the population.
So coming back to your question, Kerry, the 4,448 diseases is a number that has been associated with the temple for a long time. And when Raghu spent the time to strip away the named diseases, things like Hashimoto's and so on, as a variant on thyroid issues, lo and behold, he got the number of 4,448 for nanosoma. And the key thing to understand, in my opinion, is we talk about illness and disease because that's how we've looked at our health. What we haven't yet recognized, and with time we will, is that all of these conditions are examples of dis-ease of the body. We've just given them all these names. But when the body is functioning as it's meant to function, they don't exist anymore. They all get swept away. Mm-hmm. And yes, there will be new viruses that turn up that, if the body doesn't recognize them yet, we will go through a process of the body conditioning itself to them. Don't expect this will not happen. But outside of that, the body finds its balance in a way we didn't believe was possible, but it is, and it's our birthright, and it's just profound. And part of this is, if you look at pretty well, other than energetic healing, if you look at, let's say, biologically based healing, it is focused on the biology, what's inside the cells, how to deal with what's inside the cells specifically. Raghu has turned the whole paradigm on its head. We talk about things being hidden in plain sight. This secret was hidden in plain sight. Rather than focusing on the biology, this focuses on the lipid, which is the envelope that contains the biology and actually dictates to the biology, regulates the biology. We haven't understood it. Raghu has reawakened us to that understanding. And so not only is that envelope playing such an important role, but this little particle, when it's in that form, is actually regulating the biology in ways we never imagined was possible. But that's what happens. It's profound.
Okay, very good. So any last minute sort of updates you want people to know before we sign off here?
I think I would just add that we were talking about the impact of the jabs. Raghu has had the evidence for some time that this gets dealt with in vitro. We are still waiting for the report from a US doctor who has treated something like 170 patients who've been affected by the vaccines, if you will, and has shown with blood analysis that this has all been cleared from their bloodstreams. So this is powerful stuff. But this man is not the most organized person you've ever come across in your world. It's a little hard to get the report out of him, but we will get there. He's agreed to do it, but getting it is another matter.
All right. Well, maybe we can urge other doctors to take on this analysis.
Yeah, please,
and,
that would be wonderful.
Just by having this video out there, and I can certainly make this video, available to some of the great doctors that I've been talking to over the past really year and a half on my show to bring forward they've been analyzing what exactly is in the jab, and so that people can start to understand why they might be having some of the issues they're having as a result of these things that are in there. And then, if they take the next step to actually see that the healing can take place, I think that would be really basically radicalize the whole world's approach to
no question
what's going on.
Gary, if any of those people want to reach out to Raghu or me or together,
Okay.
we're very happy to talk to any of those people to have them understand what's going on here on many levels. You understand well enough how our views fit together and what we bring to the table. So we're very happy to engage one-on-one with all of these people, because their understanding and their conveying of this message is critical, in my opinion, to ongoing human health.
If we can give a very high level of proof, which involves gene pathways and mechanisms and blah, 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 the whole works that people will appreciate at that level. Or we can, talk at a general level if they want it, but we can also go very deep with a lot of proof. So
Wonderful. Well, so we'll spread the word, and anyone watching, please do so yourselves. Try the product yourselves, see how it works for you. I've been using it now for, 9 months or more, at least. And I have a very positive result from it as well. So, and I know you've got testimonials, as we said. I've got some testimonials on my website. So we got to continue in that vein as well. But having, some respected doctors take a look at this, I think they're going to be more and more open to these kinds of things as we move forward here. And I think humans need to understand the balance with, health, human health and sickness, and what really is going on there. So there's a lot of road to cover, but I think you guys have stumbled on a secret, and it seems that way to me anyway.
Absolutely. Not me, Raghu. Raghu is the man that found it, not me.
Excellent.
Beautiful.
All right. Thank you so much for being on the show. And everyone, you can find these products on my website, and the ads are always there. So thanks for watching, and take care.
good night.
Thank you, Gary.
Okay. Bye-bye.